Ever drove a car and thought, hey, this is not how I imagined it? Well, wait until you try these. Hey guys, I'm Stype, and this is the top 7 cars that will surprise you. Let's go. Smart ForTwo. During the 25 years that it's been in production, the Smart ForTwo ate more shit than Johnny Depp's bed. It's been criticized for being too small, too slow, and less practical than the McLaren 720S.
He ain't lying.
It's never seemed very safe either. Just look at that stubby nose. That's only what? Less than 10 inches of metal between the cabin and whatever you'll end up hitting. Compared to something like the Hummer H3, it is clear as day which one is safer to be in. Wrong. It's hard to believe, but the little smart car is actually tougher than this little penis SUV, and it's all due to this prominent arch here. Turns out the arch is more than just a two-tone design piece. It's part of the vibranium reinforced chassis, or as the Smart calls it, the tritium safety cell, which no matter how much you punish it, will just dissipate the energy around the cabin, leaving the occupants inside intact. It's like that Faraday cage, but for kinetic energy. Check it out. No crumbling, no deformation, not even a cracked windshield. People joke that Smart is like an egg on wheels. More like a coconut. Now, I'm not suggesting you go out there and play chicken with everyone else coming the other way. A heavier car, which is every car, will bounce your little Smart back into the shadow realm like a beach ball. Again, the car will be fine, but I think I'd rather be in the other one.
Ow.
Dodge Viper GTS. Anytime an early Viper is a topic of discussion, you're bound to hear something along these lines. Yeah, they look nice and have lots of power, but other than that, these Vipers are terrible performance cars. They were developed on a next to zero budget. They handled like shopping carts with one wheel missing, and each one is just a huge accident waiting to happen. Basically, Vipers were like sledgehammers. Big, blunt, and dumb, which was completely unlike the efficient and precise surgical lasers that were the 911 Turbo, the Honda NSX, or the Ferrari 355. Again, wrong. As it happens, in 1997, Motor Trend tested the second-gen Viper GTS against these exact cars, and in each test, the big, dumb sledgehammer came out on top. Not just the quarter mile and the top speed, which was to be expected, but also the maximum lateral G, the fastest slalom speed, and a cherry on top, the fastest lap time too.
Surprise, motherfucker.
People seem to forget that Carroll Shelby, the granddaddy of going fast around track, was also involved in the Viper development program, and he knows a thing or two about beating Ferrari even when the corners are included. The truth is, it's the driver who can't handle, not the car. The Viper wasn't given any driving aids whatsoever. It's a 100% undiluted, raw, fully mechanical speed machine. Now let's see what you can do with it. I thought so.
Fucking loser!
Kia EV6 GT. Remember when Kia was something you begrudgingly had to settle down for because the car you really wanted was out of your budget? Well, after the introduction of the EV6 GT, that statement couldn't be further from the truth, because this car is collecting awards faster than Bill Cosby was collecting accusations. Starting with the most obvious one, for the way it looks. It managed to win the prestigious Best of the Best Design Award from Red Dot, which isn't just for cars, but products in general.
Nice.
Then there were all sorts of Cars of the Year awards, Best EV of the Year, and even Performance Car of the Year too. Imagine that, an electric Kia. Kia is more fun to drive than the new Nissan Z. Probably has something to do with the fact that it pumps out 580 horses, and remats help develop some of its tech too. That's why if you're driving, let's say, an AMG or McLaren or Porsche, Ferrari, or even a Lambo, and you see this Korean crossover hatchback SUV thing at a traffic light, here's a tip. Don't even think about it. I mean, I know that EVs can be quick. Tesla demonstrated that time and time again, but I still wasn't expecting the first ever electric Kia to plow through the supercar asses as hard as it does. Basically, I'm extremely surprised by how good the EV6 GT is. Yeah, I said it. Porsche Cayenne. Super SUVs are this new breed of utility vehicles that have traded almost all of their off-road talent for outright speed. As a result, when the road gets tough, all super SUVs will suck. Well, when I say all super SUVs, I don't mean Porsche, because half-assing things is not something that Porsche ever does. If their Cayenne is advertised as off-road ready, then it will be so, and not just a little. Look at that face. That's not just ugly for no reason, but because if you give it some aggressive-looking road-scraping front bumpers like BMW does, then you'll lose the ability to climb things. Dealing with taller things? No problem again, thanks to its massive lift kit. And if a path seems too steep, you can always rely on torque vectoring and the massive V8 power to pull you through. Also consider this. There's this 6,000 mile long Trans-Siberian rally which goes from Moscow to Ulaanbaatar in Mongolia and is open to road legal vehicles only. In 2007, 25 out of 34 teams entered with the Cayenne, and the result was this.
Hello there.
Now, don't think for a moment that the Trans-Siberian Rally is some limp dick scenic stroll that you can just sit back and enjoy. No, this is a 13-day long grueling test of mechanics that takes you through deep rivers, the Gobi Desert, and lots of mountain trails too. Basically, any other super SUV would just leave you stranded somewhere in the middle of Siberia. No, thanks. Dino 208 GT4. You know how people sometimes fake Ferrari badges on their red sports cars in order to fool some gold diggers? Probably. I mean,
why else would they do that?
Well, with this 208 GT4, it's the other way around. Not a single girl will ever believe you that this is the real thing. Really? That's a Ferrari? And it's easy to see why. This GT4 looks more like a replica gone wrong than a true Italian exotic. But how did this happen? The designer who came up with the shape also did the Countach, the Stratos, and later the Daytona Pantera too. So why is this Ferrari so bad? Well, honestly, it's hard to work with the awkward proportion of a four-seater layout with a V8 at the back, but still, did he even try? Also, that V8 that I mentioned was just 2 liters large. It's the smallest production 8-cylinder ever. And as you can imagine, it didn't really make it move. With just 170 horses in the stables, the lame Ferrari was slower to 60 than this van. Lastly, there's the problem with the badge. Back then, only properly fast V12 models carried the coveted prancing horse emblem. The cheaper, slower V6 and V8 cars were named Dinos, after Enzo's late son. So they were Ferraris, but not fully. In the case of the 208 GT4, we're talking hardly at all. Wrong looks, wrong speed, wrong name. If I didn't know better, I'd call bullshit as well.
That is one big pile of shit.
Nissan Figaro.
What the hell is even that?
Guess how old is this car? Well, based on the pastel-colored exterior and the cream and chrome interior, it could be from the 1950s. But then again, in the early 2000s, retro styling was all the rage. So, I guess I could see Nissan making this in 2023 as some fashion accessory on wheels. Anyway.
What year is it?
It's 1991. Surprise! The real reason why Figaro looks so good as it does is because it wasn't a modern take on a retro design. No, this is an all-out, proper 1950s vintage styling that can't look any older than it already is. Basically, this car doesn't age. At all.
But wait! There's more!
The roof is actually retractable. I bet you didn't see that one coming either. It folds back along these thick rails as sort of a Maybach landaulet kind of way. That's yet another retro thing that you just don't see on cars anymore. Best of all, it's got a fairly modern fuel-injected 1-liter 4-cylinder turbo engine and an auto. It's just 3 speeds, but again, that too is in line with the styling. Also, a CD player, one of the first cars to have one actually. Come to think of it, the Figaro might just be the first resto mod ever, straight out of the factory, with warranty too. No wonder that all 20,000 were sold before its limited production run had even started. I wonder how much are used ones? Hey, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. Now, before I reveal my surprise number 1, here are some honorable mentions. See if you can guess them. And at number 1, Toyota Prius. How good looking is this thing? I mean, damn, it's lower, it's wider, it's attractive, which is not a word I ever thought I'd use when talking about the Prius design, but
here I am.
After years, nay, decades of making purposefully ugly cars, the poke you in the eye kind of attention-grabbing cars which screamed, "I'm better than you, you planet murderer," Toyota finally decided to ditch the stop oil tactics and just make a good car that everyone can like. The truth is, activism aside, Prius was always a good daily car. Not too expensive, Toyota reliability, plus it's a hybrid, which is the best of both worlds. And now, in its 5th generation, it's better than ever. Aside from the good looks, 45 miles of electric-only range is more than enough for most people's commuting needs. Go to work, go to shop, go to the strip club, and back home again. Then you plug it in, recharge it overnight, and you're ready to repeat the same process tomorrow. And finally, something you've never heard before. The Prius is fast. Thanks to the combined army of 220 horses and the instant torque from the electric motor, this cheddar cheese on wheels is faster than, surprise, surprise, the Honda S2000. Hell, not even the 2023 GR86 can keep up with it. Imagine that, an eco car is out-accelerating sports cars now. Oh, how the tables have turned. Anyway, that's all from me today. You can go watch something else, and I'll see you in the next one.